Thanks for doing this, man.
Sure.
I really appreciate it. So, John, I wanted to kind of meet you over the podcast here just to kind of chat with you. I want to know your story. One of the big things that I do on the podcast is I meet with other YouTubers and I give an opportunity for your followers and my followers to get to know the guy behind the camera
Sure.
or in front of the camera. So this is free form. Obviously, we're here to talk about your Winter 46er series that you're putting together right now. But I am very interested to know how you got involved with the Adirondacks. I started following you, like I said, maybe a year and a half ago. And when I was going back in some of the older stuff, first of all, you're not very old. How old are you?
I'm 22.
You're 22, yeah. And you put to shame most of all of, in my opinion, the quality of videography and just your picture taking abilities. You put me to shame like tenfold. And that's why I like following your stuff, because I think you can tell a really good story in images, where I tell my story more with my vlogging, right? So how'd you start taking pictures and all that?
First, thanks for having me. This is one of the first interviews it's the first interview I've had like up here in the high peak. So it's, whatever it might be. And excited to see what other opportunities happen between, like, I've only been here for 8 months. I've lived here like permanently for 8 months.
So where were you?
Ohio.
Where are you from?
That's
Ohio?
Originally, I'm from Ohio.
So
born and
Red
raised.
River Gorge. That's
It's
Kentucky,
actually,
right?
Red River Gorge is actually my climbing place. I'm
Okay.
also a proficient rock climber. I've been rock climbing for years.
Okay.
And in the little town southwest Ohio called Cedarville, where I'm from, I lived there for 22 years. There's it's a college town, and so I climbed 20 hours a week at the gym there.
Wow. It's a lot of climbing, man.
Yeah, and then once I moved up here, it's like, I could climb during the summer, but then once temperature started going down, I was like, it's okay, it's fine. But so context, everyone that hikes here or that is here has somewhat of obviously they have a story to how they found out about it.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't as much as how I found out about it, as much as it was I'm actually 4th generation Adirondack. And
is that right?
Yeah, even though I wasn't, like, I never lived here, and that I actually don't have any family that live here, which kind of sounds weird then when you say that. It's that I was brought up here. Okay. And so for every single summer of my life, every summer of my mom's life, every summer of my grandmother's life, all the way back to the 1920s when my great-grandmother, like, came up here to work and enjoy in the southern region, just like some summer camp stuff. And ever since then, that kind of just turned into a traditional thing. And then my grandmother meeting her husband, and they coincidentally had 2 lives. Like, both of their lives were involved in the Adirondacks in some way. Okay. And so it just worked out. And so they raised their kids, my parents and aunts and uncles, coming here down south at a place called Camp of the Woods, which is a family resort in Speculator.
And I have a question for you. I think that might be in some of your earlier videos, it looks like you worked at an overnight camp. Yeah. Was that the place?
That's the place.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up going to there as a camper. It's a family camp. Okay, cool. But it's not just like a camp. It's a resort. It's a resort. It's super super dope. They offer like a ton of like trips and like.
So you've been going up there since since you were a child, right? Right on.
So I'd spend my summers here, and
it's a neat playground to spend your summers.
Yeah, it is. But I never really ventured to the high peaks. It was always just Southern Adirondacks or the occasional like rec trip to like Chimney Mountain or canoeing at like the Sacandaga River or something like that. Which I didn't even do that until like I was 12 or 13. Okay. Really, it was just going to Camp of the Woods for like a couple weeks and then going back home. Yeah. But I did work there. I was like the marketing assistant for 2 years. After I was done being a camper and my photography started to take place and becoming really great friends with the staff there, they're like, dude, we really want you to work here for the summers if you can. Yeah. And so that was really great. And that was and that was a huge catalyst. I think that's the right word. I don't know.
Because I would see a lot of your earlier videos where you would start from there to go hike some of the high peaks, right? Yeah. Okay.
So, and everyone has a their first high peak story. You know,
of course, yeah.
A lot of them are just like, yeah, we found out a place and we just came up for the first time and wanted to crank out like half the mountains. And then there's other people that are like, yeah, when I was really young, my parents or this youth group or whatever that I was on just took us up this first high peak. We didn't know what we were doing. You know, so everyone has a different story.
So what's your first story?
But my story was, I went to school for 1 year.
Yeah.
Here in the Adirondack Park, at a place called Word of Life, down in Scroon Lake. So I just spent 1 year here. And that was the only education, post-high school education that I had.
And was it photography related? Or?
No. It was actually biblical and theological studies.
Okay.
Completely separate. But I still got to spend an entire year here and really developing my photographic thing. I took on photography as a yearbook in high school, and through that, I really, I just found my love for photography, but I wanted to take it seriously. One thing that's a super huge thing in becoming successful and something I think is like how people will encourage you to keep doing it. Yeah. So the encouragement and praise from other people like is a huge thing, and so I think that's why a lot of people find themselves lacking success in a lot of areas is because people may have told them that they're not like good enough or stuff like that. But I was super blessed to not have negative criticism like that. People kind of were just like, dude, you gotta pursue that.
And most people think you should be good when you start. That's such a false pretense, right? Like, I mean, like, you look at one of the things that I love, and you would do the same on your videos. I do the same on mine. I do the same. The first thing I do when I find a new YouTuber, I go check the oldest, the earliest, and I watch their first one. It's garbage usually. You become better by doing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I always ask the question when someone says they found my channel or they watched something of mine. I was like, what video did you watch?
Where are we at, right?
And then I'm like, oh, okay, so are you looking at 2017 Jonathan, 2018, or 2019 Jonathan? It's completely different. And a lot of people, because of my most popular videos are from my kind of beginning, the thing is a lot of these people might have this perception of me as just this beginning hiker, which I definitely like have. Everyone started like that, and so. I personally don't think too many people give me enough credit because they watch that stuff and then they don't watch new stuff, But, to each his own. So I spent 2015-16 that year just coming up here photographing, and back to my first high peak story. My friend Aaron, I went to go to Indian Head because I wanted to photograph the fall foliage, and so I got my camera equipment in a backpack, tennis shoes, water, just to do Indian Head. Okay, and we're at Indian Head. He's like, dude, I feel really great. How you feeling? We have like 4 or 5 hours till dinner. Nipple Top is 2.5 miles away. I'm like, what's Nipple Top? It's a high peak. I'm like, dude, you want to hike a high peak right now? It's 11:30. Like, you want to make it back for... I'm wearing tennis shoes. I got my camera equipment on. Where he's like, dude, it's only 2.5 miles away. 2.5 miles.
You didn't count the elevation, did you?
Well, I didn't even know what it was. I was like, where is it? He's like, it's over there. I'm standing in Indian Head, and all I see is this massive mountain. And I was like, whatever. They wanted to do it. So I went and did it. Ended up, obviously, taking a long time. I got to the top. I was going super slow. I was hating every moment of it. And just on the way down was just dreadful. They were waiting for me at the bottom for like 15 minutes. I was just like, knees were hurting. I was just like, this is awful. And then guess what they wanted to do? They wanted to jog and run the road back to the car.
Yeah, because that's a long, painful road, man.
Yeah, and I still had like 20 pounds of camera equipment on my back and whatever. Found out later that day, I ruined his wool socks that I borrowed because they were covered in blood. From my Achilles being lacerated. I'm not even kidding. It was a pretty just like gruesome first hike. But then I just kind of discovered a little bit more places throughout my fall, and then I got to spend my first summer here. And I didn't actually really do a lot of high peak hiking. It's kind of weird. I kind of look back to my summer of 2016, and I'm like, I don't really know what I did, but I did do a few things. But in January of 2017 is when I did my second and third hike, which was the McIntyre Range for winter and Cascade and Porter for winter. Yeah. And those are my next hikes. Range. Yeah.
It's pretty deep. The McIntyre Range is, what I like about it is it's really worth your time. Like, it's not super long. You get 360 views, all 3 of them. It requires a bit more brush, but honestly, like, they're worth it. But in the wintertime, they're still they're tricky, right?
Sure.
Like a lot of boulders.
They definitely are, especially when they're unbroken.
Yeah.
But that was one of the reasons why we went up is because the guy that I was with, Aaron, who was also the person who brought me up my first high peak, he needed to go back and get Iroquois. And so when we tried to do it, he's like, I couldn't get to it the first time because I couldn't see and whatever, which I hear that story a lot. People having to orphan Iroquois.
Yeah, which is a shame because you have to go through Algonquin.
Yeah,
anyways.
you have to go up over that, and if it's whiteout conditions and it's unbroken, it's like you can't. Like I was hard when I just did it last week. It was completely unbroken.
Yeah, you broke the trail.
I broke the entire McIntyre range. I broke out, but even though it was completely clear day, I still had a super tough time just getting the Iroquois. Because I couldn't even figure out where the trail was.
Because what's right? Let's say in the summertime, if you're gonna hit right in Algonquin, how long would that take? Like 5 hours round trip?
It should be 5 hours round trip.
How long were you out there for?
It took me 12 hours to do the McIntyre range. And I'm really fast.
Yeah. From what I can see, you travel quite fast. Yeah.
The other thing, though, is I was actually with a film crew.
Okay. Full on.
Yeah, so kind of when we get later into the newer stuff, I'll kind of share with like the reasons why. So there was a lot of stopping and whatever. I would say my moving time was probably 10 hours.
Yeah.
But still, on a nice winter day, let's say the trail was completely broken, it probably would take people 8 hours round trip. Yeah. But I mean, still 2 hours slower. I just took my time.
It's funny how, I never thought about it, but there is always a first story to the high peaks. I was 12 when I was brought here, and we live in Ottawa, right in Canada, so it's about 3.5 hours, so it's really not that bad. But we set out to climb Marcy completely unprepared. So we parked at the lodge, hiked to Marcy Dam back when there was a dam, right? Because that would be 20 years ago, right? Sure. So back when there was a dam, we parked all of our gear there. I was carrying like cans of food, like the worst kind of stuff ever. Like it was such a heavy pack.
Tin cans?
Yeah, tin cans, like unprepared. Like that was the beginning of my hiking.
We have a word for these people.
Yeah. Was that right?
Yeah.
What is it?
Marcy rats.
We
call them Marcy rats, and 90% of them. No offense to anyone who watches podcasts, but like 90% of them, they come from Canada.
Well, I think it's I don't think you realize what you're about to get into.
Yeah.
Right. And a little bit like you when you went to Indian Head, although you had people with experience with you, we had none of that. And Marcy Dam is an hour hike in from the car. You don't have to pay for your campground or anything, so it's kind of a sweet deal, right? It's a cheap weekend to spend outside, right? So and you're dead central. And Marcy is usually the first hill that most people want to climb just because it's the top, the highest.
And they think it's the hardest.
It's really not that hard. It's just super freaking long. Like that's just the thing, right? But so we climbed and we made it to Indian Fall.
Mm-hmm. Indian Falls.
And I was completely wet. Man, I was soaked, and we had to turn around, mostly because of me. At the time, I had fallen in a couple of we went there in the just after the winter, so there was still patches of snow.
Was it the month of April?
It might have been around there. So
April's the worst.
Yeah, it was a tough hike and unprepared. I was wearing regular shoes, no hiking boots or anything like that, right in the time. So by the time I got to Indian Falls, time to come back. Somehow, I was so driven to come back, managed to convince my 40-year-old dad to come back a couple of weeks later, and then we tried for Algonquin. And for a multitude of reasons, that didn't work as well. So when you hike, it's so lame because we didn't make it far at all. So when you go from, there's a very classic fall on your way to Algonquin Peak.
Yes, on the left.
Yeah, on the left. And it's not that far in. Anyways, we got there and we turned around, and that was the second time. And only the third time, so within that same year, the third time I summited Marcy finally. And then everything from there. I never not submitted from that day on, but man, it's funny how what I was getting to is that everybody's got a first high peak story. It's usually not necessarily the most positive. It's usually a lot more challenging than most people think. Yet it keeps coming back. You keep coming back, right? Like if you love the mountains and if you love pushing yourself and seeing the views that you get from up there, there's just it's just it's so worth the hardship, right? So anyways, it's
not even when you get to a certain point, it's not even suffering.
No.
And people say I love suffering, and I'm like, oh, cool, but it's just you can get to love them so much to where it's just
Yeah. The
Suffering
regular
is
grind.
love, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's something for the mountains. We keep coming back. I now nowadays I have kids, I have a wife. Like life is a lot busier than it was once upon a time, and I just don't have that much time to come. But I try to come one weekend a year, and I always come in the winter because I want to sleep outside at minus 30 Celsius, whatever it is in Fahrenheit. I want to climb, hop a couple of mountains. I want to live the whole experience.
Well, you came for the right weekend.
Yeah, it was freaking coldest time ever, man.
Yeah.
So you, that's cool. It kind of connects all the dot for me as to where you're from and what you were doing in that resort and all that, which is kind of neat. There's a really high amount of backpacking YouTubers from Ohio. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I'm not.
Dude, they're
just like general or like up here for like the Adirondacks.
They're not here. They usually cover a lot of the Red River Gorge and whatever's around there, and just like
because everyone's trying to get out of Ohio,
right?
That's all the good states are surrounding Ohio.
That's what they all say. There's nothing in Ohio for them, but that's what they all say. But like, there's like so many of them that they have YouTube meetups every year. And like I'm talking like probably last year's meetup there might have been 45 of them. Like
I should know about this.
Yeah, you should look it up. Like
I'm Ohioan at heart.
Like the Schill brothers, Lance Outland. There's a ton. Like I just can't name them all out, but there's a ton that comes from that area, and they obviously cover the gorge quite a bit. That's why I know the gorge. I've never been down there myself, but it's interesting that there's so many Ohio folks that have their own YouTube channel and specifically about backpacking.
Yeah.
But anyways, now when did you become a 46er?
Okay, so that was August 17th of 2018.
And how old were you?
2018, 29. I was 20.
20, because that's fairly young. I mean, I've been coming here since I was 12, and I'm only at 13. I repeated a lot. I didn't know the 46ers was a thing.
Sure.
Up until like 5 years ago. To be honest, like I just didn't know. I would come and do the classics. I might have done Algonquin like 5 times. Like I would have done others. Had I known there was more to it. It's just, you know, I wasn't well versed in the park at the time. Sure. So 20 is still pretty young. Now you did most of those. Are they all from the summertime?
I did 27 of them over the summer of 2017.
Okay.
And then finished the rest of them in 2018, and then finished in 2018.
Okay. Now, explain to me, like, if I want to get my 46er badge one day, what is it that I need to do? Like, because I believe there are rules. Like some of my, like Colden, yeah. I don't have a shot of it. There's no record of me other than my word. Like, I don't think that counts, right?
So it does.
Okay.
When you go to other than the first part of your question, which is how to do it.
Yes.
But how to actually acquire the
Yeah.
actual official way to become a 46er is you go to the 46ers website and you click submit application, and it gives you like this 3-page paper. Essentially, it wants you to only provide timestamps, every date, not actual time, but like the date that you went up every single peak, and then it asks you and it writes some experiences from some of the mountains, not all the mountains.
Okay.
And since there's so many people doing it, about 700, 800 a year at this point now.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
That grew a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just really, you can cheat the system.
You could, but it's a lot of it is honor, man. Who wants to claim to be a 46er without having done it, really? Right?
It was Grace Hudowalski, the original one of the original 46ers, number 9, I think she was, first woman, and so before she passed away, I think in early 2000s, she was like the head honcho of the 46ers in terms of confirming them. She would actually, they would used to have the canisters on like all the summits, and you would have to like write your name on the canister and or write your name in the logbook.
Like geolog style.
Yeah, and so and also your name had to be written in like the logbook in the beginning, the sign-in. And then she would need to check the records, and like, there would actually need to be like proof that, you know, you did all these things. And at that point, I mean, we're talking like, you know, she would talk to maybe one person every other day.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, maybe every 3 days or something like that. I mean, I'm sure earlier in the days in like the 80s and 90s, she was talking to like maybe one person a week.
Wow.
Who was becoming a 46er.
Yeah.
But obviously, before she passed away, I mean, it wasn't crazy. I mean, I think back in early 2000, there were still only like 3,000 or 4,000 46ers.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like this crazy blow up yet. Not, people are still trying to figure out what on earth happened, but I mean, with everything else, everything like in life, it's just things are becoming much faster paced. It's much easier to find out about this stuff, and obviously with the growth of social media and YouTube, it's like
I think we're doing it a disfavor.
I mean, a lot of people do consider it a disfavor, but one of the things here that if there's any people that live here watching this video is that we need these people. We do need them.
Growth,
we need, because the tourism here is what is driving this place. And the peaks are obviously the foundation to everything that is Lake Placid.
Of course.
Even the Olympics. Obviously, we wouldn't have the Olympics if we didn't have whiteface.
Of course.
And this is the 40th anniversary of the Olympics this week.
Is that right?
Yep.
That's why it's so busy.
Well, it's also President's Day weekend, but like with the mix of both of those things, it's pretty insane. I mean, I did whiteface yesterday. And I passed over 20 people coming up the trail.
Wow.
Which, by the way, only 3 of them had snowshoes. All the other ones just had microspikes, and I'm like, do you see ice on the trail? And the people were like, sorry, dude, we didn't know. Like, I would ask sometimes, do you have snowshoes? Or just letting you know, even if you don't think you need snowshoes, you are legally have to have them. A lot of these people didn't think that the trail was going to be. I broke the trail yesterday morning. I broke it. It was the most popular whiteface trail. And I was breaking the trail. All these people coming up, they had no idea. But
because you did all the work.
And
you started so early, it had time to pack. Right, because you pack it down first, you wait half an hour. It's a lot harder after.
And so I mean, I'm just like, whenever I pass people now, instead of having like some talk with them, because there's 2 reasons why I get upset when people don't have snowshoes. One, obviously they're making holes in the trail, and it's super annoying. But also, I mean, I see people walking with their microspecs on, with the snowshoes on their pack, and I'm like, do you not understand how well snowshoes help you, especially if they have lifters on the back of them? Like it's a game changer, and I'm just like, you have that and you're not using them. I feel like it's a pride move or something like that.
A lot of people think that snowshoes are designed to float on
unbroken
the snow. And
like,
yes, especially like
without them I couldn't break trail.
Of course, but like back in the day, if you want to cross a lake, you have these massive snowshoes designed for that. The snowshoes that we bring in the mountain, like the MSR Evos, like you have, I have the same. They really don't float all that much. They don't. They're great for traction.
They're huge assisters.
And they're great for traction. Like imagine if every step you take, you go down a couple of inches. Like how much more work that takes. Like those with the crampon system and everything.
And the other thing is with just your shoes, even if your feet aren't going down much, is the friction on your shoes. You're expending like maybe
way more
energy. You're not realizing it at every step, but you're expending so much more energy with trying to move every single footstep.
Of course.
And so I mean, I think most of these people that were coming up were the ones who were coming up just for like, this is the one weekend we come up every winter, and they were assuming, oh, it's whiteface. A million people climb this because we came here in the winter and there was 80 people. Or we came here in the summer and there was 80 people who were going up that day. So
wow.
And it's a nice Saturday, so who knows? But
interesting.
So there's a bunch of things, but
we keep diverging, but let's go back to which doesn't matter, but the 46er now. Also explain to me exactly what it is that qualifies you to be a 46er, and like what are all the rules, if that makes sense, and how did that become a thing? I know you were talking to one of the founders or that lady that was the 9th one, but for the people that have no idea what 46ers mean, maybe you can clear that out, because I think I have a good understanding of it, but you obviously understand it.
Sure. So in New England, I know New York's not New England, but they consider it. So in New England, obviously, there's New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and they all have their 4,000 foot peaks. But New York is not in New England, but it's in the Northeast.
Sure.
And so there's this hiking challenger combination called the Northeast 111 or the Northeast 115, depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
There's actually some like leeway there, but that in the context is that is grouping up every single one of these states, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, and their 4,000 foot peaks.
So there's 111.
There's 111 completely official, on the book peaks
that are above 4,000 feet.
That are considered the high peak.
Okay.
For example, even the 4, Cucamonga, Cliff, Nye, and Blake
here that
are under 4,000 feet. They're still part of the 46.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still considered, but there's other ones, for example, like McNaughton.
Yeah.
And there's also the 2 peaks down in the Catskills as well that are part of the Northeast. But anyways, so in New York State, in the Adirondack Park, The original survey shows that there are 46 mountains in the Adirondack Park that are 4,000 feet or higher. With new geographical surveys, there's 4 peaks that are shorter than 4,000 feet, but for traditional purposes, they kept them on the list of the 46 mountains 4,000 feet or higher.
Because the technique of surveying were terrible back then.
Yeah, but they were still accurate. In fact,
Is that right?
I think it was Mr. Colvin that it was either Mr. Colvin. Yeah, it was Mr. Colvin. I think that surveyed Marcy. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% sure.
And I just watched your video, and you did take that plaque at the top too.
Yeah, which by the way, did you know that Teddy Roosevelt became president on top of Mount Marcy?
Is that right?
Yeah, when he found out that
he was elected.
Well, no, it was. See, I'm real. Sometimes I'm scared that I'm going to give off false information, but I cannot remember who was in presidency at the time. But he was impeached.
Okay,
I don't remember the president.
Yeah.
But then he became president. That was just a story I was told, but I'm pretty sure it's true. But anyways, the
46ers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he surveyed it. He got it within like 2 feet.
Wow.
The altitude of Marcy, like what we say it is today.
Wow.
And obviously he started from scratch, and so he actually measured it all the way from the Hudson River.
Okay.
And spent who knows how long actually doing it, like chain and rod, measuring the altitude of the mountain. Crazy. But anyways, so 46 mountains here, 4,000 feet up. I don't really know where along the lines it really transitioned into just like this official group. I think it might have had to do with with Grace. I think she was a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And they eventually formed the group called the 46ers, the ones at the time who did all these things. The ones they were all grouped together, the original, all the original people together were like super close friends.
And
they
so
just
they
kind
set
of
it up.
group. Anyways, it kind of just slowly turned into it.
Yeah.
To what it is today. It's a really bizarre history.
It just kind of evolved to be what it is.
There's so much into it, and a lot of stuff I don't know.
So 46 high peaks above 4,000 feet, plus a handful that are just below but for traditional purposes they kept it. Now, do you have to do that all in the same calendar year?
No. So you can do it over the course of
your life, right? And
right.
It would still count. Are there different badges or is there a different honor system to get it all in a season?
So there's different groups of ways you can be classified as a 46er.
Okay.
So there's obviously the regular 46er. There's just the Adirondack 46er.
Okay, just the general
46 high peaks.
Yeah.
There's the winter 46er.
Yeah.
Which is climbing them all in the winter solstice, December 21st to March 20th.
Okay. Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
And this year it's March 19th because it's a leap year.
Yeah, of course.
Which sucks. But
yeah.
So,
and you started late that season too.
I did. I didn't really start till January.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting.
But I'm still way ahead of schedule.
Fair enough.
So, and then there's but those are like the Apaches. Those are the only 46er like the actual official things that actually matter.
Yeah.
There's other sub
like FKTs and stuff like that.
The FKTs, but there's also the grid 46ers. The ones who we call them gridiots. But they're the gridders are the ones who do all 46 peaks in every month of the year. So you become a 46er 12 times.
Wow.
So yeah, and I don't know how many.
You have to be retired for that.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, I know a girl. Her name's Amanda, and she's like, I don't know how old she is, but she's super young.
Okay.
And not super young. I mean, she's not like a teenager, but she's young, and I mean, she works a full-time job, and she's like 360 in out of like the 500.
Wow.
Like 80, I don't know how many, like 12 times 46s, but
that's crazy.
So yeah, she's almost halfway.
Wow.
Totally.
Good for her.
And so I don't know. There's only like a few dozen of them, not too many.
Yeah. Well, that's.
But yeah, and other than that, there's not really any other classification of a 46er.
Okay, that's just
Very
all
few.
it is now. One day when my kids get a little older, when they're probably 14, 15, I'd like for us to set a goal of doing all 46 peaks within a calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for someone that has to travel like me, like 3.5 hours, I can't just like pick up and go every weekend. Right?
Sure.
I believe there's a better way to do that,
a
right?
system.
There is a system,
Absolutely.
right? And how many trips do you think it would take if all goes well? Like if every time
Are you doing overnights?
Yeah.
Or are you doing just day trip?
Does that matter all that much?
It does.
Yeah?
It does.
I like the overnights, but honestly, when the kids are 14, 15, like carrying 40 pounds on their back might not be ideal.
So like this, if you came here, let's say you were doing it relaxing. You came here, spent the night at Airbnb, had all day to hike, go back to your Airbnb, and then drive home the next day. So you had just one day of hiking. You're going in and coming out. You can do it in 18 or 19 hikes.
Okay.
That's
but they all have to work. You have to be successful every time, obviously.
Right? Yeah. You can't orphan any of them.
Okay.
That's the term we use.
Yeah, when you don't finish the range, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so it's like before you start out the 46, you're just like, man, I don't even know where to start. That's how I feel about New Hampshire because I've actually never hiked in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I did Mount Mansfield there.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah, which is it's a nice hike to do.
Yeah.
And my kids, Charlotte summited Mount Mansfield when she was 4 years old. It took us 8 hours. It's a 3-hour up and down for adults.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so it can easily be done if you went up. I think it's like if you're taking the entire year, all you need to do is come here every 3 weeks.
Yeah. Now, if you're sleeping on the mountain, how many trips?
So if you're sleeping in between, then
you
could probably
to sleep and then you keep going, right?
Right. So for example, what you could do is you could go and hike in Tabletop and Phelps, sleep right there by Tabletop because there's a campsite, and wake up and do Marcy and come out. But the thing is, generally people do Marcy, Skylight, and Gray as a loop. And so they do Marcy, and then later they come and get Skylight and Gray. They might be pairing it differently with Redfield and Cliff and coming out at Lake Holden. So it can be different for everyone, but if you stick to the system and you did Tabletop and Phelps as a hike, Skylight, Marcy, Gray, Colden, McIntyre Range, Marshall, all these is specific hikes. Then it's 18 regular hikes, but you can group them together. So if you did an overnight, you could easily do something like you could sleep at Gill Brook and do Colvin Blake, then Nippletop and Dial.
Okay.
Or you could group that and just do them all in one day and just kick it out of breath.
Now, what was I going to say?
I should probably give you context in my YouTube channel, how that happened in my photography.
No, for sure. I do want to get to that as well. But man, I had a really the Great Range. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is our second attempt this winter to go.
Sure.
So last year we did Lower Wolf, Wolfjaw, Armstrong, Gothic. We had to sleep in between Armstrong and Gothic because I frostbit my toes so bad that I didn't feel anything in my toes until February all the way until the end of August. Okay. So there's a bit of a flat spot there before you go back to Gothic. So we pitch camped there, and next day we finished Gothic and we went back home. This year our goal was to go from Haystack to Haystack Saddleback Basin, right?
Hapasa, is what we call it.
Is that okay? So, but would people travel the entire Great Range usually? I guess that's my question.
So you can split up the Great Range in 3 hikes, actually sometimes 4.
It's a tough one, eh?
If you're doing the full thing, it's obviously called the Great Range Traverse or the Great Range Loop. There's the Lower Great Range and there's the Upper Great Range, and then there's also Haystack Basin Saddleback because a lot of people do Marcy separately. And Marcy's part of the Great Range, and then there's
is that right? Yeah, I didn't know that.
And so there's Sawtooth.
Okay, as well.
Yep, Sawtooth is not part of the Great Range.
Okay.
But it's an extension piece. Okay. Some people just don't skip it. They don't do the out and back over Pyramid. So Gothic's Pyramid, Sawtooth, and then back up, and they'll just get that on a separate hike. I see. But whenever I do the Lower Great Range, I always just do Sawtooth.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm out there, I want to go and get it. I don't care if it's. I'll bite the extra 3 miles out right around.
Whatever it is.
But yeah, so they'll split that up, and so I think you went up to Gothic's first, and then out and down.
No, last year we did Lower Wolfjaw. So we
started with Lower Wolfjaw.
Yeah, so we slept just below Lower Wolfjaw.
Sure. Yeah, I know the campsite.
So we went up there, dropped pack, went to Lower Wolfjaw, came back, grabbed our pack, Wolfjaw, Armstrong, Gothic, and then we came back down to in between Armstrong, Armstrong and Gothic, and then we went back down there to the car.
Sure.
Because the goal was ideally the goal would have been is it Sawtooth, Pyramid, come back down and then back to the Ossable Road. That was kind of the initial goal, but that was too big. And I mean, we carry 50 pounds on our back, middle of the winter, nothing was broken after Gothic. It was, they're tough hikes, right?
Yeah. So as you know, I'm doing my Winter 46 right now. Single season Winter 46. It's called the SSW.
SSW.
And so that's also another classification, but you don't get a special patch for that. but you are classified then as a single season winter 46er.
Within those equinox you were saying earlier.
Right, and it's like, but you have to, it's a single season.
Yeah.
So obviously the winter 46 is in the winter season, but there's a single season winter 46, which means you do all 46 of them in one winter season.
Correct. Yeah, within that time.
Right, and so that's what I'm doing, and I did my first hike like the day before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't hike until 2 weeks later in January. But in order to finish out, I needed to average like one hike every 4.5 days.
Okay, so it wasn't
living
so bad.
here and having a flexible schedule.
So how did you start then? Because your YouTube channel's been around for 3.
You started June of 2017.
Okay.
Well, not my YouTube channel, but my Adirondack videos.
Okay, because what was there before?
But so I did a ton of international travel vlogging.
I remember seeing some of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I have like really funny vlogs. If you want to see what I was like before my Adirondack stuff, it's really funny because like they're funny vlogs. I mean, I had other vlogger inspirations, people I won't mention. But I was inspired to start vlogging, and I didn't realize like, I don't know, the camera equipment that I had was like perfect for it. I didn't really realize that or even how to really do it. But I just, vlogged me doing all my international traveling for photography and just whatever I was doing, really fun stuff.
And then led into...
Yeah, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm living in the Adirondacks for the summer. I'm just going to have a really fun time vlogging these epic hikes. Like, I went from a guy who wanted to be a vlogger, really funny, doing epic stuff. And the reason why my original videos were really funny and entertaining for different reasons is because I was learning. I was going through this stuff, experiencing it all for the first time.
Yeah.
And so they're actually like super funny moments, and some that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I actually did that in my video, like butt sliding with crampons.
Yeah. I remember seeing the freaking comments on there, right? People were so mad. It's so funny.
Yeah, and obviously I didn't understand at the time the audience that those videos would have been seen by.
Yeah,
I just thought it would have just been like, oh, cool, they're just like, people are stoked about hiking and whatever, and I was just being some funny kid. But then after I saw really how, I think like maybe once I really committed.
Yeah, but your videos were really well received in general. Like, you have a decent amount of views. When you search the Adirondacks, you rank in those searches, right?
I think it's mainly because no one vlogged them. They were using GoPro.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
No, the quality of your videos is different for sure, yeah.
And that's something that really stuck out with people that I realized.
Yeah.
Before I vlogged, I already had somewhat of a, not like a name, but I had somewhat of a following up here with my photography, because my main thing that I do is I am a professional photographer.
Yes, that's what
first and foremost. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And so when I hiked these peaks, a lot of the time was like, I'm going up this mountain to do this, or going here to photograph and whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was like my original outlet to getting out here and really discovering this place. But then I can't really remember the time where it was like, I want to become a 46er. I did one time have special access, and as far as I know, I'm the only person ever to have been that's been granted this permission. But I had special permission in an exchange program with Whiteface that after it was closed, I was able to drive up the road. After before the sunset, drive up to the summit of Whiteface. First sunset, everyone's gone. They shut down the place. My car's up top. I was there. Watched the sunset, spent like 3 hours there, photographed the Milky Way, was up there at night, got in my car, and then drove back to my apartment.
Wow.
And so they let me do that in exchange for giving them like rights to the photos they use for stuff. Of course. Or whatever. And that was epic. But when I was up there, as the sun was setting, I was just chilling. I'm like looking at the peaks, and I'm like, that is super ambitious. That I think I want to try to do all of them. Yeah, and at the time, I only had like 5 or 6 peaks down.
Yeah. But it's so humbling to be up there, right? And to see the stars and everything. It's just
a
cool place.
And Whiteface you can see 42 high peaks from the summit of Whiteface.
That's one thing that I think I don't know I don't know if it's because, I don't know if someone pointed them out to you or your knowledge of the park. I'm always like, I'm hiking, I'm like, oh look, I think this is this mountain. I cross and I was like, no, that's not it. Like, you can point out most of the mountains when you're at the top.
I can explain why.
Why?
So I think, let's take math class, for example.
Okay.
People who don't like math, which is 99% of everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. You're there because when you're trying to learn something or memorize something, you're doing it because like you want to get a good grade. You might not necessarily be enjoying it, but at anything that you are stoked about, you're going to excel in it.
Sure.
And you'll remember things.
Yeah.
Just like with any other work, muscle memory. And so one of the things with my character, I think, with how I love to interpret things visually and remember things, because my photography was so, like, I was so passionate about it. I'm such a visual person. Then mixed with really discovering this place and actually forming a relationship with it, to the point where it's like, I had no idea the difference between Colvin or Colden. To now, every single peak has an extremely unique image and feeling and emotion and memory, and it has every single one has its own
them that
relationship.
Yeah.
Like, and even though I'm on my 99th peak. I just yesterday. I did my Esther with my 99th.
Wow.
So I have one more to be my 100th. And the thing is, in retrospect, that's still not a lot. There's a ton of people who obviously who aren't a 46er yet, but there's a ton of people that have done dozen plus rounds. All these locals.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people. Like, once you get really deep into the community here, you really meet all these hidden people that are just like, oh yeah, I've lived here, 50 years, and I've done. It's like, yeah, John over here is the first person to do 46 rounds at the 46. Stuff like this, and
there's
it's like
deep community.
Yeah, and once you like really discover these people that are like living here, they're like, oh yeah, we know what you're talking about, and so it's just a lot of those people aren't public. But anyways, so like to me, 100 rounds or not 100 rounds. There is someone who has 100 rounds.
Is that right?
His name's Pin. He's on like 108 rounds. He lives in Canada, so if that gives you inspiration.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's still working, and he's like 80. So
wow.
Yeah. So the thing is, 100 high peak summits. I haven't done 100 mountain summits. I've done hundreds of those.
Yeah.
But only 100 high peak summits. The thing is, in the midst of my hikes, in the midst of like, I'm taking it in and soaking it in so much because of my connection and how much I'm stimulated by these mountains. And to me, it's not just like I'm hiking it for the stoke or the beauty. It's a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
It's still like, and not to get like weird or anything, but like it's like you getting to know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
it's
like getting to know someone that you love.
Yeah.
In the same way, you remember all their features, everything, and it really is. And you can talk to any other person who's either a 46er or just people who've lived through the whole life, but it's a romantic relationship. And so,
of course,
every mountain, every single feature, everything is super. And the other thing is after studying the map so many times and knowing the trails, like to the point where it's just like I know exactly where everything is, and even if I didn't know what the mountain looked like itself, I can just be like, I know what should be next at the mountain. And so there's three things that you just kind of put together where it's just completely natural, which is the look of the mountain, the location of the mountain.
Yeah.
And then after you're on every single peak, you can just form this perfect 3D imagery in like your mind of like, what does every single thing look like? And you just get the whole scheme of things. And
I love how you describe the different features that you can tell them apart. Like I met a wildlife biologist once who was talking about he could tell apart deer in his own forest. He's like, when you look at them long enough, you can tell them apart. Like all us human beings, we all look the same to other species, but to us, we all look very different.
Exactly.
It's like, it's the same thing. If you look at something long enough, you'll see there's a split hair on this guy and there's a little mole on this other guy.
It's just
and
like
you can tell them apart. I couldn't believe it.
Imagine if you went to college with 46 people.
Yeah, exactly, right?
It's the exact same thing.
You'll tell them apart really
and
well.
Even though the mountains, the thing is, the mountains here, they don't need us. Like without us, they're gonna stay the same. They won't change.
Of course.
And so we are relying on them, for what we're trying to achieve, what we're trying to feel in this experience. And so, obviously, there's a lot of initiative involved. It's all initiative. The mountains aren't giving anything else to us. They're just providing.
Correct.
And so, I mean, it's really just like, imagine if you spent an entire summer with 46 people. And that's all you were, around talking to, getting to know. It's pretty much the same thing.
That's the fun part about living here, right?
Right.
So you start your YouTube channel, and then there's a little bit of breaks here and there during that YouTube channel where you didn't publish. But when you came back,
people notice that.
They do because
I had to apologize every video.
No, you don't have to apologize. But it's just for me as a fan who just likes to watch your videos. When you haven't been publishing for a while and I see one, I'm like, oh, dude, yes. So I go back into it, and then
hiatus.
Pardon me?
Hiatus.
Yeah.
That's the word we used.
Hiatus. But I think it also, what it allowed you to, at least what you did, because within that hiatus is that you did one of those things that people call, it's called niching down, and you decided to focus solely on the 46ers.
Right.
And you were already at the High Peaks region, right, of the Adirondacks. You were already at 46er. You had done that 46er video and all that. You decided to move here, and then I guess one of the first challenge or the first thing that you decided to do after, there's a couple of hikes and the reports and there and vlogs and all that, you decided to take on that winter challenge that you're doing right now.
Sure.
Right? So
there's definitely a series of events that led up to it, because believe it or not, 3 months ago, I was already halfway done with my winter 46. I just wanted to finish it. But there's something that came up that gave me the opportunity to do it all again. That? I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
But before I do that, I just want to say, the whole reason why I did have these breaks and whatnot is because I had another life in Ohio, and I could only come up here so much. Yeah. And of course, in 2018, I actually spent the entire summer cycling across the entire continent of Europe. Nice. And so Portugal to Turkey, and on my YouTube channel, a lot of people just blow past it. They might have noticed it, some of that, yeah. But I do have a 4-part video series of my entire bike trip across that continent, and that's what majority of the summer was like.
Wow.
And then I came back and started recording more. I finished out my 46 stuff. Then I did some Colorado stuff. Then I came back and then did some more winter stuff. And then September of 2018, I have this photographic business up here. And I sell my artwork in the Placid Center for the Arts.
Yeah, one of the artwork.
I don't know if you went there.
I've never been there.
I only have 5 pieces up right now. But there's some stuff you can see there.
Do you still work there?
Well, I don't work there, but it's the gallery that I present myself in.
Oh, I see. I thought you were as one of the workers there too for a while.
Yeah, no, it's just a gallery. It's actually the most successful art gallery in upstate New York.
Wow, very cool.
Which is I'm super grateful to be in. And so with that, mixed with my Instagram, my YouTube, and just kind of trying to get the word out there of who I am, and images kind of speaking for themselves. Obviously, I want to be able to produce the best that I can in work, and so I just started I just wanted to show this place off. I wanted to take the best pictures that I could, and try to sell them and just make a name for myself up here. And so I spent 3 years doing that. And once I realized that I started to have this name, something that I could start to lead with here, mixed with the YouTube, and where I work now here at High Peak Cyclery, I was like, wow, I think I could actually move up there. Okay. And I was like, how could I do it? How could I do this? How could I afford living up there, single, alone, because New York is expensive.
Way more than Ohio?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. The apartment that I have now would be a third less than what I'm paying for right now. But even what I have now is still actually pretty great, the deal that I found. Okay. So I'm grateful for that. But it was just really, really cool how it kind of just worked out. Yeah. And
so you made your way up here.
Made my way up here.
Found some sponsors.
No. I had sponsors, but it wasn't financial sponsorships.
It was just for the community and for
yeah. So up here, it was really okay. Well, what's crazy is after I moved up here, the whole entire summer, I didn't realize the impact that my videos really were having on the community until not a single hike this entire summer,
you were recognized on the trail. Yeah,
every single time I went out.
I bet you.
Every time. People would recognize me, and even in my art gallery, there would be a 6-year-old kid. He wanted to buy one of my $10 pictures, and I was in there when he was buying it, and he wanted me to sign it. That's and it's cool. Really weird because it's such a small community, and I do not have that big of a following when you compare it to other things. But it's such a localized group of people that when 5,000 people, dedicated people, follow what you do up here, that's a ton. Yeah. You don't realize that, but it feels like 500,000, but it's really, but there's still a ton of responsibility.
Of course.
Huge responsibility.
Yeah, to be able to.
Right. So back to your question.
About the winter, yeah. Right. What started that?
So.
Because you were half done, you were saying.
Right.
And then you just scrapped that, we're going from scratch.
Sure.
All right.
So the art gallery that I'm in, every single year, they actually put on in the Lake Placid Center for the Arts, which is this is a huge art community. They have the Olympics, but they also have the art, the art, not as the art center,
but still
huge. It is a huge thing. And so there's this gallery show that every single year they have thousands of people. I think statistically 20,000 people in the course of 6 weeks come to this gallery presentation at the Center for the Arts.
Okay.
And every year they put on a specific theme, but they've never chosen a photographer. Once my gallery manager saw the impact that my videos and everything was having, the following, and he was being able to personally see the actual like people coming into the gallery, and stuff like that. And he even seeing my images and being like, there's no one in our gallery has this involvement with the Adirondack community like you do in the pictures that you're taking. How would you feel about being the focus in the center of that gallery show? And I was like, that's crazy. What are you thinking? He's like, well, my team and I, what we kind of figured out is like, how would you feel about doing a Winter 46 show where you take one of your photographs from the summit of every single high peak, all 46, describing that mountain, and then for 6 weeks, 46 massive prints. You create a short film. We'll show it at the Wild Center. Everything. It's going to be a 46er themed event. We're going to push it, get all the 46ers to come into. So it's going to be like the biggest event they've ever had. And everything's for sale too.
So it's good for you.
Yeah, and like, and so he's like,
that's a huge opportunity.
Do you think you could just do the whole thing in one season? And I'm like, well, yeah, I know I can. He's like, is this enough incentive? Okay, because I'm like, if I wasn't doing it, I would just be really just more casually just doing everything.
Of course.
It gave me so much more like inspiration.
Well, what an opportunity for an artist like you who wants to showcase its work.
Sure.
Like, I mean, like you can't spin on that. Like, that's your break. Mm-hmm. Like that's a break at the very least.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited to see what that turns into. And so I'm at 27 out of 46 now.
Okay.
Just this week
you had a crazy week this week.
I did have a crazy week.
Tell us.
In fact, I was even thinking about tomorrow morning just going up Cascade for fun because it was going to be a good sunrise. And when I went up in January, it was pretty bad weather.
Okay.
But, on last Saturday, I did the McIntyre Range, broke that all out.
Yeah.
And then I did on Wednesday, I think it was. I actually can't remember at all what day it was, but I did the whole San Antonio Range.
Which is
San Antonio, Cuxaquaga, and Panther.
Okay, those are all mountains I have no idea of. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to map them out.
Sure. And then, it was like 11.2 miles for that McIntyre Range. It was 16.2 miles for the San Antonio Range. And then I had to work, but then I saw that I had to work 5 days this week because there's some other employees that are out. And so I was like, crap. I need to do a back-to-back again. It was my third back-to-back. I did 2 other back-to-backs this winter already. I did tabletop Phelps, watched the sunset on Phelps, and then woke up for the sunrise and did Colvin and Blake.
Holy God, that's not a lot of time.
It was 28 miles.
Yeah, but between sunset and there's 12 hours, 16 hours.
Yep.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, I finished it, got back to my apartment at 8 p.m. and then woke up at 3. And then my next back-to-back was I did Skylight Marcy Gray. At 19 miles. Went to bed and then kind of slept in a little bit more, but still got up at 6 in the morning and then went and did the trap dike of Colden, which is going to be the next video.
Okay.
Episode number 8 will be me ice climbing the trap dike up to Colden.
And did you summit also?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just decided not to take a hiking.
Sure, because the first time I went to Colden was with the trap dike.
Okay, I see.
And so I was like, dude, let's do it again. My first winter, so let's do trap dike. And I've always wanted to go up the trap dike.
Nice.
It's notorious, but the conditions that I had were flawless. They were amazing. So it was super easy. I didn't use ropes at all, and just went up. Yeah.
Because it's not fully vertical, right?
No, but there's definitely some
it's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're on the slide, my conditions were a little sketchy on the slide, where there was a lot of thin spots where I wasn't getting contact with my spikes.
Okay.
And so it was like if I slipped, I would be butt sliding 800 feet all the way down the slide, and it would suck because I couldn't self-arrest.
Yeah.
Because the snow wasn't like styrofoam. It was just like super. It was like 2 feet of powder. That was all that was really keeping me on there.
Wow.
But it was super fun.
Yeah, but how dangerous would that be if you slipped down that thing?
Well, I was on the edge the whole time, so I felt super safe. I didn't.
Yeah.
I could take one step at a time and no.
Yeah.
But we could have rappelled off of it if we needed to.
Yeah.
But
wow.
If I would have been fine. I wouldn't have been hurt. It just would have sucked because I would have probably slid 20 miles an hour down back into the trap dike, trying to keep my legs up so I didn't snap my ankles and my cramp.
Yeah, because that's the dangerous part. Yeah.
And then I would have just laid there for probably a minute, yelled okay, and then just looked up at my partner a quarter mile up the trap deck and be like, okay, wait a minute, I'll come back up. So that would suck. And I'd just see like, well, there's my footsteps and there's my butt slide.
Yeah, for
Take
sure.
a picture of that.
Man.
But I'm glad that didn't happen. But anyway, so that was my other back-to-back. And then I did McIntyre Range. Then I did waited 3 days, did San Antonio Range. Yeah. And then what was really cool is on Friday, 2 days ago, I went and just kind of was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go do Giant and Rocky Peak Ridge. And so I went up for Giant, broke trail Rocky Peak Ridge, watched the sunset on Rocky Peak Ridge, then went back over, went back to my car, got back to my place, went out, ate something, got back to my apartment like 10 p.m., went to bed at, I don't know, maybe 11:30 or midnight, honestly. I didn't go to bed that early. And then got up at 3 and went and hiked and watched the sunrise on Whiteface yesterday. And then
okay, so that was back to
just now back to back. But I felt great. I felt totally fine. I mean, one of the coolest things for me, one of my favorite things about my journey is being able to see my physical growth. Because I went from this person who really hated, like, climbing a high peak. It gave me no incentive at all to wanting to physically push myself.
Yeah.
And now where, like I said earlier, is that like you get to the point where it's not suffering, it's just love, and you're just going up it, and it's like you're excited to be feeling it, you know.
So do you train outside of the hiking? I mean, hiking is probably most of what.
So in the winter, no.
Okay, that's.
I'm just like when I'm hiking, and when I'm not, I'm just like relaxing. I'm resting. In the summer. Tons. I'll trail run.
That's the fun part for you because you're here, right? So you get to train and get fit on the trail.
Sure.
Most of I'm a pretty serious, like I train pretty seriously at home. Like I usually average 5 to 6 days a week, and I'll do anything from running a decent amount of weights. And I cross country ski a lot. Like back in Ottawa, we have the Gatineau Park. It's like worldwide renowned. It's a really nice park, and I skate ski. So I'll put in a lot of that in as kind of my cardio. And then I'm lucky enough. I work in a community center. I work for Parks and Rec in Ottawa. So I have a gym.
It's a good TV show.
Yeah, it is a great TV show, and surprisingly quite accurate from time to time. But anyways, so I get to train a lot. A lot of people are always like, why are you constantly pushing yourself? So I'm like, I only get to come here once a year. You know what I mean? I don't get to come out here that often. And I like to bring people that, I like to make people discover this place. I like to bring people on with me. I go out with my kids a lot, whether it's portage and all that kind of stuff. I like to be at the top of my game. If something goes down, I know I can, like yesterday, nothing went wrong, but I summited, I was making fun with my party. I summited twice Haystack because one of our guys' crampon wasn't working on him. So I went all the way back down, almost between Little Haystack and Haystack. I fixed up his crampon and I went all the way back up with him again, just because I wasn't going to not summit with all four of us. Right. So for me, like, I like showing up as ready as I can.
Nice, yep.
You get lucky to be able to just get fit on the trail, which, man, I would kill for that.
Yeah.
I would kill to be able to do that.
And since this was like my first summer living in the High Peaks region.
Yeah, you can trail run like crazy.
Yeah, and so like by the end, one of my favorite things to do at the end of a summer is to test myself.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things that I think in anything that you do as a person, I think one thing that really sets your ability for how well you can do something is how stoked you are about it.
Yeah.
Because even if you think you're going to do something and it's just going to, you're going to be like, dude, this is going to be awful, but I'm so excited. Like, you'll still perform it so much differently. Like, when you're excited about doing something.
I agree.
Like, and you're motivated and you know exactly what to expect and you get in the game. Like, the way it will happen will be so much more enjoyable, but, like, you'll do so much better.
I agree. And you get to like you talk a lot about the suffering aspect of it, and I enjoy that quite a bit too. But like over the last fall, I came here and I went to Indian Head with my wife. We came back, but the weekend after we went back home, there's another hill that I was climbing, and I was there with my family. And I'm like, I'm gonna go trail run it. It's just 10 it's 6 miles, right? 10 kilometers up and down. I can't remember the elevation, but it's a decent amount. And but I didn't want to bother anyone. So I woke up at 4:30 and I just went up and down before anybody was up, right? And everybody's like, why do you do that? I'm like, I love that. Like, I don't know what else to say. Yeah. Like, I like that it sucks. I really do. Sure. I enjoy the grueling aspect of it. I like the stories. And there's something to be said about, you know, because I'm getting ready for my first marathon in May, so I'm going to be running the Ottawa Marathon. And when I train, I go on long runs. Like if I go, like I'm trying to do the conversion in my head, but like I did a 27 kilometer run, so it'd be anywhere between 12 to 18 mile run just before the summer. That was kind of my before the winter. Sorry, that was my last big run. It took me, again, I'm doing the conversion here. It took me 7 or 8 miles to convince myself to continue. Like the first 7 or 8 miles, no. So like it took me 10 to 15 kilometers to convince myself. Yeah. As I'm running, I'm like, all I want to do is go back. I just want to stop. It took me 10 to 15 kilometers, so it's about 6 miles is 10 kilometers. So right. So anyways, so it took me 6 to 8 miles to convince myself, and I finished at 27. But what happens is once you get far enough, and that's the part people don't get, if you just are willing to push long enough, eventually it stops hurting. Sure. It changes. Like the gear just changes, right. And you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I just did like, I'm so far out now. Right?
For me, that's once the second I start on the trail. Because okay, most of my getting ready is like, to me, starting after the sun comes up is awful. I'm tired, even if I start at 8 or 9 a.m.
Okay.
For most people watching this video, if they are 46 or have done several hikes where
you sunrise most of them.
Yeah, I'll sunrise a ton of them. Yeah. But like getting up at 3 a.m. or starting your hike at 4 or 5 feels so normal, and that's when I have the most energy. Yeah. And even though it sucks waking up, and I'm just like, you know, once I get on the trail, it just completely goes away. Yeah. You feel wide awake, and you're just like ready to send it. This summer, I like to test myself at the end of every summer how fast I can do something. And so I did 2 trail runs, just to kind of like see where I was at. I trail ran Cascade, and I trail ran to Haystack and back. And
you summited Haystack?
Yeah.
So through Johns Brook?
No, I actually went through the lodge.
Through the lodge.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did Cascade. So I actually did it on the second busiest day of the entire year.
Okay.
Okay. But low key, I did it that day. It was it was beautiful weather. It was perfect, and I was ready.
Like fall foliage and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I chose that day because there were so many people. I get fueled passing people, and so that's actually one of the reasons. I know that's like a kind of a douche move, but like I wanted to pass people.
You wanted to push.
Because I know if people see me like I look like a trail runner and I kind of stop and like I'm just like resting, it's like I'm gonna look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And so I kind of so I just pushed it. So
how long does it take Cascade? Because that's not a long one to start.
Car to car, I did an hour and 14 minutes.
Wow.
So
very good.
Yeah,
that's not bad at all, man.
I did Cascade and Porter the previous summer, hour 39 car to car.
So you start just a couple of water bottles on you, like one.
I do a 2.5 liter water bladder. That's it.
That's
so it's just my little Osprey 2.5 liter pack. Yeah. Put that in there with just my water and
that's nice.
Yeah, trail running shoes.
And I would be doing that all the time if I lived out here.
And then Haystack.
So you start from the lodge.
Yeah, start from the lodge, which I don't know why, but I like it. I think I like it better going just if it's just Haystack, because the thing is you actually kind of get views, and the thing is I like the ascent up to Marcy. Johns Brook Lodge, it is more flat. I don't know what my time would be like going from JBL, but from Marcy, so obviously you have to go all the way up through the Van Hovenberg Trail, all the way up to the last half a mile to Marcy.
Yeah, where you see Marcy on the right?
And then you trail right down.
Yeah.
You have to descend like 800 feet and then
I know,
up.
it's such an elevation.
Okay, but anyways, I still got to the summit of Haystack in 2 hours.
Wow.
From the lodge. And
Very good.
And I ran back in like an hour 45.
Wow.
And once I got back to the intersection up there, I like sent it. Yeah. I think I was averaging like a 7-minute mile the rest of the way.
Wow. Yeah. Going down. How are your knees and your ankles and your hips?
Dude, I feel great.
You feel great?
Ready for this? I don't stretch. I need to stretch. People keep telling me I need to stretch.
Yoga,
I need to do stuff. Yoga, dude.
Yeah, but
I've done
your early 20s
once.
though. Trust me, I remember being in my early 20s, being like, well, because now
thinking you're invincible.
Yeah, thinking I'm invincible, but also because I mean, training has always been a huge part of my life in general. Early 20s, barely ever warmed up. By the mid 20s, it was one of those things where I I'll need to stretch after. Yeah. Now that I'm in my early 30s, it's like the maintenance of my body in order to keep it running.
And I'm scared that's going to happen to me.
It's part of like my daily routine. It'll happen, which is fine. But then it's fine because then you just, it's part of growing up. Like for me, like yoga changed my life. I was hit by a car, road biking, like cycling.
Yeah. 5
years ago, and that's when I discovered yoga, and I had so much lower back pain. It relieved all of it, and now it's like it's just part of what I do.
Nice.
As my weekly routine, because without it, I just get too stiff, right? And the more stiff you are, the more prone you are to injuries. And you get to know your bodies, especially if, like you're so in tune with your body because you use it so much. For me, it's like my left knee hurt. I know I need to stretch my right psoas. It's part of it.
Yeah.
I have a routine and
it unlocks it.
But,
I don't know any of that.
You'll get to you start to have the little aches, right?
That now.
But But it'll come. It's one of those things where I don't think you can convince a young, strong person who's active until they need it, right?
No, but that's in the worst time.
I know. If you could start slowly, I recommend a lot of yoga just because it changed me.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
So I work here at High Peak Cyclery.
Yeah. And there's a yoga studio.
There's a yoga studio. Yeah. I live right next to a yoga studio. And I don't go to it.
Yeah, you should.
Mainly because
once a week. You don't need more. It's only about getting into the rhythm of it.
Yeah, I'm really going to consider it. I really need to.
Yeah.
But I actually think this is a perfect subject to kind of talk about what my biggest plan for 2020.
Yes, because
my winter 46.
Your winter 46. You're 23.
22.
22.
I will be 23.
Out of 46. So that's going to keep coming out on your YouTube channel. I'm not stressed at all for you that you're not going to succeed. Plus, I mean, you have really cool incentive.
You're talking about the winter 46?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're obviously.
Yeah. I only have 6 hikes left.
Yeah.
And we're still mid-February.
Yeah. You're on it. Plus, you get to take all your art. Now, my question I had for you earlier is, you talked about a bit of a short film. Is any of the footage that we're seeing in your vlog going to be a part of your short film?
Yeah. So I'll tell you. I have 3 things I'm going to say. Okay.
Yeah.
So that included. So the first thing is I'm going to tell you real quick what my last 6 hikes are. 2,
yeah.
Then I'll tell you what the big picture of the winter 46 thing is. That film thing.
Okay.
And I'll tell you one other thing after that. But this Saturday I'm actually going to do the lower Great Range plus Sawtooth. Okay. I was going to go up Betty's Brook Slide, which is a slide going up Lower Wolfjaw. Okay. But then there's so much snow, I realized I would just burn myself out. Yeah. Just getting up it because it's a skiing route. It's really great for skiing. Okay. And if there's a lot of ice and not a lot of snow, it's super fun to get up. Okay. But there's just actually a ton of snow now. Okay. So I'm just decided I'm going to do early twilight on Sawtooth, sunrise and Gothics, and then down the range to Lower Wolfjaw and then out. Yeah. Which is the preferable way. Yeah. Starting from Lower Wolfjaw and going up, I wouldn't recommend it.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it's doing up a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like somewhat going downstairs versus going upstairs.
Okay, well, listen, because one of the big problem that we have, me and my party, is that we're terrible at setting our itinerary. So next year I'll get in touch with you. And you can tell us if it makes sense or not. It's
the elevation gain ratio. If you look at it like a kind of like a pyramid. Yeah. Most mountain approaches, it would look like when you have you used All Trails?
Yeah.
When it shows you the finished, when you finish it shows you the line graph. Yeah. Some of them will show you gradual, and then when you're going down the other side of the mountain, it'll be like super steep and quick. It's kind of like that with the Great Range, where if you go from Sawtooth and Gothics first, it's like gradual, and then it's like a quicker like up. All the way to the highest point, which is Gothics. Yeah. That's like the highest one of the day. And then it's gradual, kind of down, up and down. But then it's like Lower Wolfjaw, that's the lowest point of your day. And you're starting at the lowest, and it's incremental going up. So you're going down and then up to a higher elevation, and then down to a higher elevation.
I see, yeah.
Like that. And so it would reverse the other way.
Yeah.
And it kind of might be reverse psychology because seriously, at the end of the day, you're still doing the same. It's the same. Yeah. However, it's kind of like...
You go significantly faster downhill.
Right. You're still doing the same amount of gain, but the thing is you're covering majority of it before the first mountain.
Yes.
Getting up to Gothics.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll get in touch with you for next year.
Yeah, so there's definitely a way to do the ranges. For example, the McIntyre Range, a lot of people like going up from Lake Colden up to Boundary Peak, and then hitting Iroquois, and then
Algonquin from Colden is awful. Steep.
It's the second steepest trail in the park.
Oh, is that right? Because I went down. So one time I went we did Algonquin down to Colden. I was like, holy cow, that was a steep way down.
It's awful.
Yeah.
In fact, when I broke trail,
Yeah.
I met 2 French Canadians like at the intersection, and I was like, "Where did you come from?" And they're like, "We came from Lake Arnold or Lake Holden." I'm like, "You broke trail?" Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, it's 1.8 miles from the bottom. It took us 3 hours." And this goes waist deep in snow. He's like, "It was awful, but I love suffering." I'm like, "Of course you do." And I'm like, "Kudos for you. That's awful. You decided on the deepest breaking trail snow day the entire year. You decided."
But it's the second steepest.
Second steepest. Okay, so there's kind of like debate. Like, there's so many super steep parts of the trails here. When I'm talking about steepest trail, I'm talking like half a mile or longer. For example, going up, like, there's certain sections on Seymour or certain sections on Allen.
Yeah.
Like, Allen's Slide is ridiculously steep.
Okay.
But it's like, it's a short section.
Yeah.
But in terms of half a mile or longer, in terms of the elevation, I measure everything in distance, elevation gain in a mile.
Yeah.
So the average here in the park is 1,000 feet per mile.
Okay.
Or essentially, it's going to be 333 feet per kilometer.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that trail going up, I believe, is like about 1,800 feet per mile.
Wow.
But then the steepest trail it might be like 1,700 feet, somewhere in there. I haven't done the calculations in a bit, but doing the backside of Haystack from Panther Gorge, it's called the Devil's Half Mile. It's actually really 0.6, and it's so steep. It's actually really one of the only true kind of like switchbacks in the park.
Okay.
Somewhat, you don't have to switchback it because a lot of it is bare rock. And the other thing is I've never done this part. I've never done it. But I've seen so many pictures and people telling me about it, and I've seen the topo. But in the course of half a mile, it would be, essentially, if it was 1 mile long, it would be almost 2,000 feet of gain. So you're doing 1,000 feet of gain in the course of half a mile.
Wow.
So it's essentially at least 45 degrees.
Yeah.
At least. So it's pretty gnarly. But yeah, so the Winter 46... I've had a film crew staying in my apartment for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And so none of the content that you've seen between episode... I've had some assistants. Like one of the
is that
the
some
girls,
of the people
so
that we
Kira,
see?
No.
Okay.
Kira is one of the girls who's been just kind of helping me. She's been assisting me with my videos. She's had her own camera and whatever, and so she's helped me get like different angles. That's why it's looked more like cinematic.
Of course.
Kind of more of a production. But episode, I think 9. So episode 8 is the trap deck, and then episode 9 is the McIntyre Range. Once that starts, that is when I had the film crew come, because they're actually assisting me and helping me with my projects. However, we are, and this is, I'm not sure like when this video comes out, but it's kind of like low key right now, but we're actually making, there's 2 things. There's going to be the journey of a Winter 46er, which is my video, but this time it's like more than just a self-production. It's actually with these people as well, but we're also making a real feature-length documentary of the Winter 46.
Nice.
And I am one of the main subjects, but it's actually like for the 46ers. It's a real thing involving other 46ers. And it's a real thing, and these guys are actually real professional filmmakers, and they've done documentaries, and so it's not like a.
And are they in shape?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's already done 9 mountains with me.
Nice, very nice.
And so, one of them has done 9 mountains with me. They're gonna come with me on the Great. It's the Lower Great Range left.
Yeah.
I have the Dix Range left.
Yeah.
Which will be Sunrise on Gothics, and then it'll be Macomb Slide, Sunset on Dix, and then I'm doing obviously. The Great Range I have to do Haystack Basin Saddleback, but I'm gonna go the Saddleback down the cliffs.
That was apparently that's very. I've seen it on pictures. We've been hoping to cross it. We've never made it yet.
That section between Basin and Saddleback is a half mile, and that's the only section in the entire High Peaks Wilderness that I've never ever touched. In between those 2, because I hit Saddleback from Gothics.
Yeah, and then you come back.
Yeah.
Usually.
And so I'm gonna first time I'm doing those cliffs is gonna be in the winter going down. I mean,
so what are you bringing? Ice axe?
Probably not. Probably just my mountaineering axe and crampons.
Yeah.
Just getting down it, not ropes or anything.
Yeah, just slowly.
And then it's watching the sunset and basin, camping at Snowbird, which is the highest elevated campsite.
Oh, you're gonna go down the Saddleback cliffs with your full pack?
Yep.
That'll be interesting.
And then I'll probably just chuck it and watch it fall 800 feet.
Yeah.
And then sunset and basin, and then.
Or maybe there's enough snow you can just butt slide your way down.
Which has happened.
Yeah.
I've heard stories, but that's not going to happen in the next 2 weeks. Not going to happen.
Well, yeah.
And then, so Sunset and Basin, and then down, camping at 4,100 feet. It's the only campsite above 4,000
between
feet.
Basin and Saddleback, right?
No, Basin, Haystack. There's a campsite.
It's between Basin
so
and
like
Haystack.
a quarter mile
right.
below the little Haystack.
Yeah.
There's this campsite.
Yeah.
And so I'll camp there and then watch the sunrise from Haystack.
Very nice.
Which I think is Haystack's probably one of the hardest mountains to watch sunrise from.
Yeah, because you got to start so long.
Yeah, Allen is going to be the hardest mountain to watch sunrise from, and it actually would make for a great sunrise, but definitely not worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, and then I'm finishing on Nippletop and Dial. I'm finishing on Nippletop because it was my first high peak.
Cool.
And so Whiteface was my 46 finish my first time around, but I wanted the Nippletop to be my finish on my winter 46. And then I have Redfield Cliff, which is going to be an overnight because I'm going to do Marshall for sunrise.
Okay.
Redfield for sunset.
Okay.
And then I have Allen.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that was the last 6
that
hikes
would
that I have.
finish that.
Yeah, and what's stupid is like out of those 6 hikes, like 2 of them are like 2 peaks. You know, so it's just like
yeah, but sometimes you just have to. Yeah, you
Sure.
can't put that many in.
Right.
We just did Haystack on one of the coldest day of the winter.
Yeah.
It was
I was out there.
Yeah, you were
It
up
was
on
cold.
you were up on Whiteface. Haystack was so we came up Little Haystack, and then to go down Little Haystack to go up
Sure.
the Haystack. I looked down and I turned around and I look at the guys. I'm like, dude, we need this is
Getting down Little Haystack?
Yeah, I'm like, this is dangerous, man. We need our crampons. So, and luckily enough, we came to the cyclery, the High Peak Cyclery, on just on Friday before when we got here, and just out of the blue, there was some from the rental here.
Sure.
There was some actual crampons, and I have the Scarpa GTX Mont Blanc now that I have now. So I was able to find some crampons that worked, and everybody had crampons now. And honestly, without those, which just happened out of sheer luck, because most of the time with my MSR Evo, I get around most of the places, but that section is dangerous. Like it's not, and with the 100K 60 mile an hour wind, like we were getting thrown off our feet. Like some of the sections, and it was relentless.
I bet you it was nuts.
It was relentless, and it's like, where can we shelter? There's just nowhere. Like it felt like the wind was coming from.
It's one of the most exposed peaks.
Yeah, but man. And I climbed Mount Washington at minus like 25, 30 degrees Celsius in the middle of January. And it's hard to say that Haystack was harder because Mount Washington, you have like, honestly, like 2 hours above tree line of walking. It's just so long to get to the top. Once you get up on top of the balls.
Did you do Lion's Head?
Lion's Head, yeah.
Yeah, so there's so much exposure.
It's so much exposure, and it took us 5 attempts. So I was in college at the time. We went there. It was 4 attempts where we tried, and every time we get above tree line, the blizzard would hit. So we'd come back down. And one time we were pulled down by the Rangers because we were young and stupid. We were just going to go anyways. We didn't know about the fact that that's the deadliest mountain in North America. So the Rangers pulled us down because he had seen us go. So he chased us down, pulled us down. What we ended up doing is we ended up summiting Mount Washington for sunrise on the 4th time because we realized that every time at noon it would just go to hell. So we slept halfway up the mountain. There's these cabins on Mount Washington, like especially for ice climbers. That there are 2 major bowls at Mount Washington. Yeah. Anyways, one of them,
Tuckerman's Ravine,
and the other one I can't remember, but one of them,
Huntington.
Yeah, Huntington. Yeah. That's exactly it. Right by Huntington, there's a cabin. So we climbed up there. It was like $15 for the night. We slept there, and we just woke up at like 3 a.m. We barely slept, and then we went. So we sunrised Mount Washington, which is one of my most epic personal stories.
Were you above the clouds?
No, we weren't. But it was still a clear day. Very windy, like 160 miles an hour wind. That's when I found out that 60 miles an hour wind is about
super slow up there, though.
It is, but it's the kind of wind that throws you off your feet.
Sure.
When you get like tumbled down, that's about it is super slow up there. Anyways, we did that, and comparing it to Haystack yesterday, I mean, Haystack was hard yesterday. And I've done a decent amount of hard.
Did you just do Haystack?
We just managed
from JBL?
But we broke trail, so we met 2 other parties.
Where did you start breaking trail?
We broke trail like Slant Rock on.
Okay.
But we ended up being like 3 parties that made it up there. This one older gentleman that was on his own and 2 other older gentlemen that were together. And I broke trail from, you know how there's the first hump and then there's a little haystack and then you go back down. I personally took the lead for at the bottom of the first hump. I wouldn't know.
That's when you get the first treeless views.
Yeah, and like not like there was nothing. It's just real breaking trail, and it was heavy, man. I was carrying about 25 pounds on my back, I would say. And then up a little haystack again, and I was pretty tired up there, and that's when we had to switch to our crampons. And one of our friend in our party, he started ice climbing this year, so I just let him take the lead from there because I was just too tired, and he's better at reading the ice anyways. But yeah, that's definitely the second hardest mountain I've done Marcy at minus 35 as well in January. The same year I did Washington.
2018?
No, that meant I was 18 at the time.
Okay.
That's 14 years ago already almost, right? So. But it was. I've done some difficult hikes, but haystack yesterday was something else. And you were on top of Whiteface, and you could see. It's funny because we were texting back and forth. Man, I could see
I specifically took note of haystack.
Yeah, and it was super exposed. And I mean, I'm even like wind burnt a little bit in the face, and my lips are.
I can send you a picture later.
Yeah, I would love to see it from your perspective.
Sure.
It was insane. But you're closing in on your winter 46ers. When is the date of your release for the art thing?
So
for
that's
people?
It's not official the opening date, but it's mid-June.
Okay,
it's like maybe like the 19th of June.
So stay tuned for that. Obviously.
Yep.
Now, where can people find that information for official information?
Nowhere.
Yeah, that's nowhere.
Yeah, but
but
later
if they
on,
follow
check.
you,
But yeah, they can check the Lake Placid Center for the Arts.
Okay.
The LPCA.
It'll come out.
.org.
Yeah, eventually, because that'll be something that.
It's gonna push it. In fact, for anyone that has like Peaks magazine, which is the 46er magazine, which you get when you become a 46er, we're trying to get an article in there.
Yeah.
Maybe something with local 80K, some other things, and I'll be posting about that a lot as well.
Yeah. But you've already kind of put that not behind you, but you already have your eyes set on another challenge for next year because you alluded to
this year.
Is it this year?
This August.
Like this summer, right?
This coming summer.
So, because you alluded and you're not
in
the Marcy, the one, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was surprised by how many people took note of this.
Of course. Well, let's be honest. In the hiking communities, in the last year and a half, I'd say I've been hearing a lot about what they call FKTs, like fastest known time, and there's a website and everything nowadays, and people are all trying to break record, which is kind of cool because it's neat, right? And it's hard. But you're gonna try to do the unassisted FKT of the 46ers.
Yes.
So what does the unassisted mean?
Low key.
I mean, if it's
no, I can make it public, but it's not a problem at all.
I mean, this will probably come out in 4 weeks, so you have time to change your mind.
I'm doing it. It's been 3 years in the making.
Nice.
I mean, ever since I found out about it, I was like, definitely something I'll never be able to do. But until I actually, once you unlock, or once you find out something that you are physically capable of doing, like, wow, I just did that and I didn't realize that. When you discover these new things about yourself, it starts to unlock areas,
of course,
in your mind of like, man, what are my limits? And
have you ever read David Goggins' book?
No, I don't read.
Or do you listen to audiobook? You should. Anyways, but the point is that he's a crazy ultra runner and all that kind of crap, and he says you always have to keep an open mind. It's like, because he broke for a while the chin-up record. And when he was looking at the math, people were like, this is insane. It's like, no. I didn't look at how many chin-ups I had to do and thought it was insane. I kept an open mind. I broke the math down. I need to do 5 chin-ups per minute for 24 hours. Right? And once you start looking at it like that, a little bit like what you were saying, then things start to make sense.
Right. And so in becoming a 46er, like, everything starts to click. It's like mathematical. You start to understand every single mountain. And so in an FKT like this, is being able to physically do it is just one ingredient of things that have to happen. You have to obviously be physically capable, but you also have to have a complete understanding of every mountain and the trail system. Yeah. You need to have the perfect map. Like, it needs to be like how I devised my map was A, my experience, and B, every other person who has successfully completed it. I've pieced together theirs. I actually went on Old Trails and I would see their written synopsis or whatever, and I would actually do it on the trail and mark it, and then look at, okay, here's what they did, here's what I think they could have done better, reading their mistakes, everything, taking everyone's accounts and just performing it. Even the people who just broke the record this past year, these guys, even though they broke the record by 12 hours, the thing is there are so many things that I'm sure they would say they wish they did differently.
Of course.
There were so many problems they encountered, and of course, like I am planning on having a flawless attempt with weather. I will wait. I'm gonna have that perfect window. Yeah. Because I live here, I can afford to wait. I can give a whole month.
And I don't think you have any kids.
No.
You're single.
No.
So you could.
I'm single.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Take note.
All right. I'm 22. All right.
Good looking, strong.
Well, I didn't say that.
I said
but it's true. So there's so much that goes into it, and the biggest thing, and I've mentioned this several times, the biggest thing that when it comes to records, I bet you the person, most of the time, and I could be wrong, but most of the time when you ask someone who has ever beaten a record, I bet you in that moment when they beat the record, they were the most, like, okay, I gotta word this right, but I think like they are one of the most. They wanted it more than anyone. Yeah. Essentially, at that time.
In that moment. Yeah, of course.
And that is what you need to have when you attempt anything. It's not just like thinking you can do it. It's wanting to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you go into it and you're just like, I am going to do it, and I want to make a point.
Yeah.
And the point is, I came from zero to this person.
Yeah.
And this romantic love for these mountains. This is just another way. And people are like, man, I can't. I just can't.
You have to want it that much.
Yeah. And people are like, man, I don't understand how to. Why someone will rush through the mountains so much. It's like, how can you enjoy that? But I'm like, dude, people enjoy running marathons. I mean, we just had the 2-hour marathon limit broken.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
that guy.
And I'm like, that right there. Like, I bet you he wanted that more than anyone in the world right now. And
in that moment in time,
And I know I have to think in my mind that this summer there are going to be people that want that record too.
Of course.
And I don't know if there's going to be attempts this summer, but I have to keep in mind that even before I attempt it, the record right now could easily be broken.
Of course.
And so I have to keep that in mind. But right now, what I'm really focusing on, obviously, is the Winter 46. But it's actually kind of a nuisance because I just want the summer. I'm such a summer person. I love the winter, but... And so there's been so much, everything from what I'm carrying to and how I'm going to sleep. There's so many little things that I don't necessarily want to disclose. My methods. Like, for example, I'll be hammock camping. Yeah. And I also will be, I'm planning on doing this with a partner, actually, as well. My best friend, Noah. That could change between now and then. If he, for some reason, isn't able to do it with me when the time comes, I will be attempting it solo. Yeah. Which then I will actually be able to do the solo record, which has only been successfully attempted one time.
Oh, is this?
2018. Okay. Which is 8.5 days, which is a day and a half slower than the current actual record.
As a duo?
Yeah, but
why would people travel faster as a duo? Just like pushing each other? Well, it's
really pushing each other, and well, I think
the load?
Like technically you can travel faster solo, but with something so gruesome and hard, getting through it with someone else and tag teaming, and just going together, is just like emotionally much better, and that's why I want to do it with someone else. Yeah. But I also know that I have the stoke and desire enough that like even doing it solo, my motivation will be there. Yeah. And I know I can do it, and I say that right now, but like. I went from like not thinking I was able to like doing a 20-mile day to me was like awful, but I did a 37-mile day last year, and at the end of it I was like, dude, that was awesome. I feel like hell, but that was awesome. And then I realized that was just another time that I unlocked another thing. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I was able to do that. 37 miles and trying to do it in 16 hours with these peaks. Nearly 11,000 vertical gain.
I know.
And the thing is, I didn't have to be some like super proficient endurance athlete. It's just a lot of like sheer will, but also of course physical ability is a huge thing. I'm not discounting it in any way, but I've been able to see like I'll literally just go out and just do something. Like it's just like I've seen the way I've grown, and so when I see this record,
of course, you see the possibility.
I see it complete. Like I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude. That's mine. I'm treating it as in like this is something I totally can do. Yeah. But
anything hard in life, if you want it, then you can't not look at it this way.
But I'm also going in, like you said, with no expectations.
Unassisted. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, unassisted.
That's your attempt, right? So what does that mean
Which
for
means
people?
I'm going in. I have to carry everything in.
Food,
and carry
water.
everything out.
Nobody can wait for you on any trailhead.
Right. I can't even take a sip of water from someone else's water bottle.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. No one can do anything. It's just you on your feet, your food. Water can be acquired naturally.
Do you have to do it in yeah, of course. I was going to say that's stupid. It's in 6 consecutive days. So you're going to take. Now, can you take your car from one trailhead to another? Okay, so all of these are going to be lined up.
by feet.
How much road walk are we talking about?
I
because
think the amount
Cascade and
the amount of miles I think I will be on actual road is like
which are hilly out
maybe
here.
only 9 miles.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of road.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're road walking, like for example.
I could describe every single day by day, but I don't want to do that.
No, that's fine. But I'm just thinking like Giant and Rocky Peak. You have to get there. Are you gonna go from the?
You actually go from Dick's Wilderness.
Okay, you're gonna go.
So
that
it's
way,
not.
okay.
It's only a mile and a half on the road up to the Ridge Trail.
Still okay.
And then from there, it's road from Giant to the Garden.
So you're gonna carry because you're trying to attempt it in what 7 days?
Less than 30 pounds.
And what your food is all dry food.
It's all freeze dried.
Yeah. So
super
you're gonna carry
lightweight,
6 days of food on you on top of that.
ultra lightweight. But the thing is, with freeze dried food, you can carry 15 pounds of it, and if I had someone else with me, easily we could carry 15 pounds each. And the thing is, 15 pounds of like dry.
Yeah.
Of just the dried stuff, when you add water to that, and I also plan on cold soaking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's like I don't have to take time to boil water or whatever.
Yeah.
And so when you cold soak, like 6 ounces of dry food will turn into like a pound.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's why like your whole bear canister is essentially just gonna. That's the thing that's a bummer is like I have to have a bear canister legally.
That's right.
And so the bear canister is going to be just dedicated to just the food being portioned out. There's a lot of stuff I haven't been able to figure out yet because I'm actually wanting to meet and have Skype calls with people who have done these things before and just get more stuff. Because when I do this, I want it to be done. I want it to be executed perfectly the first time.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was trying to say earlier is I'm also going into this with no expectations.
That's right,
I'm going into it with everything that I have, but I don't want people to think that I'm going into it like completely like, oh, whatever, I can do it, not a big deal, because it is a huge deal. It is extremely difficult. And everything has to be right. And the thing is, I have 1,000 miles on the trails of training between now and then.
Yeah.
No kidding. That I'm going to be putting on, and I could easily break my ankle.
Yeah.
I could go in halfway and be perfectly like on my record time, but like something happens.
Of course.
I'm going in with just like, I'm just gonna just do what I can.
Well, you're doing it for yourself, which is the first thing. You're gonna put everything.
I would do it
in
even if no one knew about it.
Yeah,
I would
of course.
still do it.
Yeah, and you're putting everything in it in terms of like you're being smart about it. You're approaching it properly so you can succeed, because otherwise you won't. Like, let's be honest, to do it in that fast.
Sure.
And I mean, and if everything kind of lines up, then great. Like it's like any athletes at the Olympics, man. Like, they put everything they can in, they line up everything, but the day of the race is the day of the race, and a lot of things can happen during that time. So
sure, and
so you have to rely on your training.
If you want to know, like, kind of like a quick glimpse before we wrap this up, like what my training regimen looks like.
Yeah.
I already have a bunch of things that are planned, which is so cool. So right now, I'm almost done with my second round of the 46.
Correct.
Even though I've done 99 peaks, a bunch of them have been repeats.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's been a lot of peaks I've already done 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
A ton of them. So it's just like I really just got to go get these couple of peaks before the second round is really concluded.
Yeah.
But once the summer happens and the trails are really runnable again, which is going to suck because I hate the mud and the bugs and the heat, and it's going to suck. The first month of training is going to be awful. But most of May, I'm going to finish up my third round.
Okay.
So it'll be like maybe, I don't know, 12 trail runs or hikes I'll have to go do to kind of just go finish up that third round. And then the fourth round, essentially that month training will be like finishing up that stuff, and there's a bunch of other peaks and stuff around here that I really just need to go get that I've never gone up.
Yeah.
Like Ampersand, Blue, Pitch Off, Van Hovenberg. I've never been up Van Hovenberg.
Okay.
And all these other peaks that I'm just gonna just do for fun.
Yeah.
And take it slow. A lot of weight training, of course.
Yeah.
But then once that round is done, then let's say most of my like strict training goes into, I don't know, let's say like the end of June. Like the month of July, what most of the July is going to be is actually then piecing every day by day. Going out and doing day number 1 in full. Because there's also test days. There's routes in between some of the mountains they're not all on trails. There's a couple days or 3 days that are bushwhacks.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
There are 3 days that are bushwhacks. And so, for example, I did Allen to Redfield.
I did see
Okay.
that, yeah.
That was the first time I attempted that bushwhack. Completely comfortable with what I was doing. Knew exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
But that was to get an idea of the route. And even though I did it in 5.5 hours, which is slow,
Yeah.
I was with someone else and really just kind of taking it in, really just seeing what it was like. I still am planning on that being part of my Allen to Redfield. And so I need to nail that down, take 2 hours off of that time.
Yeah, you need to know exactly where
and so
to
I'll go out and do that 1 or 2 more times. I need to go perfect these other bushwhacks, these ones I've never been on, and really see, is this the route that I want to take?
Nice.
So I need to essentially perfect the actual route, know exactly what I want to do, and then once that's done, go out and do day 1 in full, day 2 in full.
And see if
like,
then after
4
you
days
can piece
later,
them all in.
Take 4 days like resting, kind of planning it out, figuring it out, then do next day. And then like maybe even once I get to like day number 5 or 6 or whatever, be like, okay, today we're going to actually piece together 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And so we're going to just do back to back.
Yeah,
you know, so I can make sure that like we're good.
That they actually work. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very smart way to do it, man.
And so that will conclude my 4th round.
That's awesome.
Because essentially it's only going to be 7 hikes. It's 7 days, but the record would be within the 6-day time period.
Yeah.
Because even though it's 7 consecutive days, as long as you finish within the 24-hour mark on that 7th day, it will still be before 7 days.
Sure.
So.
That's awesome, man.
But with that, then obviously completing the record, if I do that, would then complete the 5th round. The 46.
5th? Wait, oh yeah, because doing it during training is your 3rd. That's what you were saying.
I'll finish up my 3rd.
This winter?
No, I'm gonna do my 2nd this winter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish up my 2nd
That's
round.
right.
I'm technically like.
Yeah, but you're finishing up your 2nd this.
My official 2nd round.
And then you're gonna do it.
I'll be
one more time during the practice round of doing it all.
I'll already be, once I'm done with my winter, I'll already be halfway done with my 3rd round.
Yeah.
And so then I'll just finish up 3rd round when the weather is good. And then the training will be really just finishing up the 4th round.
Yeah, that's right.
And then doing a 5th round.
So you'll be ready for a real through hike after this.
Oh, I hope so.
You ever thought of that?
Yeah, well, that's what it's going to be.
It
could be. I mean, but this will be in the course of the time that I want to do, it will be 196 miles.
Wow.
I was already able to cut off like 15 miles of the current record. It'll still be about 70,000 feet of elevation gain in the course of 196 miles.
Wow. Well, thanks for taking the time, John. I really appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find you: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff.
Instagram is Jonathan Z Photography. And you can just type in Jonathan Zaharek in Google and find every single thing about me, which is super scary. I'm going to have a brand new website coming by the end, probably around the springtime. It's all going to be just Adirondack themed. And then my YouTube channel, Jonathan Zaharek. And
all the links will be in the description.
I also work here at High Peak Cyclery, so if you ever want to come by and say hi, check out the shop, will also be a great source of knowledge for any single type of hiking and stuff here as well.
Well, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. We'll do it again maybe some other time. Maybe after you're done your FKT.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back next year anyways. Yeah.